Welcome back, On Guard Army. As some of you may know, I just recently went to the North American International Championships, and the deck I chose to bring was a list of my own creation that I like to call Meowscarada. Now I'm sure you all are thinking, why did he choose to bring Arceus Meowscarada to an event of this size? And my answer is, of course, for the memes. Twitter blew up with Meowscarada memes prior to the event, and it being a deck I was already in the process of testing, I decided to commit to the bit and submit it as my deck for the event. And for the most part, it went great. We started 4-1-1, got invited onto the Pokemon TCG stream to be interviewed by Skarzig. Still can't believe that happened. It felt like a dream being on that stage. And then I choked. Despite me unfortunately whiffing day 2, I had a great time playing the deck and still think the deck is solid. And Mint Mermaid, who I gave the exact 60 of the week of the event, went 5-2-2 with it, narrowly bubbling out of top 256 at the event, as it was a massive event with over 1,300 players. The biggest Pokemon event we have had to date. I was going to make this video an in-depth matchup analysis of the deck, but seeing as how Obsidian Flames releases very soon, and the meta will be changing with it, I will instead quickly go over my card choices for NAIC, and then cover how the deck changes going into the Obsidian Flames format, and what it gains as a result. This was the list that I played to NAIC. I played a 3-0-3 Meowscarada line with a 3-3 Arceus line because with this deck, I chose to lean more into Arceus while utilizing Meowscarada as damage spread and damage modification, while being a solid tanky backup attacker. Playing Sharon's Care helped a lot going into the Lost Box matchup and against other Arceus decks. The Squawkabilly helped with early game setup, and for getting Arceus plus energy turn 1, and the Collapse Stadium was good for getting the Squawk off the bench. Double Lost Vacuum also proved useful for both bumping Path and thinning my hand to draw more cards off the barrel, and Box of Disaster could also be a target in matchups it wasn't useful in. Box of Disaster was primarily for the Gardevoir matchup, forcing them to either trade KOs and lose more resources, or play suboptimally in order to attempt to get around it. It also helped to fix math in other matchups, because any damage you put on the board can be moved around with Radiant Alakazam, and 80 plus 200 is great math against some relevant Pokemon like Giratina V-Star. Chien-Pao wasn't as much of an issue as I thought it would be, because at this point, people weren't playing the Arceus build and wouldn't be able to establish more than one Baxcalibur a game. In most cases, they would take one big KO, and then I would boss KO their one Baxcalibur, and they would just be kinda stuck there from there. The Drapion was for the Mew matchup because without it, the Mew matchup is extremely difficult. The list felt solid for the entire event, my only complaint being that it occasionally had extra candies or Meowscarada that would be stuck in my hand, leaving me unable to draw as much off the barrel in certain situations. But that will no longer be an issue going into the Obsidian Flames format. We really only gain one new card for the deck, but that card makes all the difference. Pidgeot EX. Pidgeot EX is a card that has 280 HP, free retreat, and an attack that does 120 damage for 2 colorless energy, and you may discard a stadium in play. None of these things are bad, but they aren't the main focus of the card here. The big benefit to this deck is the Quick Search ability, which lets you search your deck for a card once during your turn and add it to your hand. Legitimately a Forest Stone, but every single turn. For the first Obsidian Flames list, we're going to take inspiration from the more Arceus-focused list. We cut the barrels and add 2 Mew and a 1-0-1 line of Pidgeot EX. The Mews allow you to find battle VIP passes turn 1 pretty easily, and it's pretty easy to get them out and get into them with the 11 energy outs to retreat, 2 Beach Court, and 2 Escape Rope, and the 2 Artizone for searching them out in the first place. Mew is also nice for grabbing combo pieces, because if you need 2 pieces and Mew grabs one of them, the Pidgeot can search out the other piece. We also have more variety in our supporters due to the increased ability to search for them. As long as you have Pidgeot on the field, a Palpad off of Mew can be accessed to any of your supporters, including the ones you've already played. In this build, we cut the Super Rod for Eclaira because it functions as a Pokemon retrieval and energy retrieval in a single card, so we want to maximize what we can get off our singular Quick Search each turn. We can also cut the Boxes of Disaster and add a Choice Belt, which allows Arceus to hit as much as 230 on turn 2 with Trinity plus Belt plus Bouquet Magic and Radiant Alakazam, or 240 with Bouquet Magic plus Boss. And we have Jet Energy as a card that functions as both a switch and an energy attachment on Arceus, in case we need to use both of our Starbirth pieces on Pidgeot, and we can Quick Search for the switch effect plus attachment to swing turn 2. For the second Obsidian Flames list, we have a more Meowscarada focused list. The skeletons look similar but play very differently from one another. This one has a bit of a heavier Pidgeot line with a 202, because we rely on it more in this build, with a heavier 413 Meowscarada line and a 2-2 Arceus line that's primary purpose is to establish a Pidgeot and a Meowscarada turn 2. We run a similar supporter lineup as the previous build, but without Sharon's Care since it isn't necessary in a build focused less around Arceus and more around Meowscarada. And instead of the Jet Energy, we play a 7th Grass Energy for access to more Bouquet Magic pings. Since this build has a higher focus on Meowscarada, we also play Manaphy as well. Both of them have their benefits, but I definitely think that Pidgeot gives a huge buff to this archetype. The main thing the deck lacked was its ability to get what it wanted when it wanted it, needing to rely on cards like Babarrel for draw. But now, with Pidgeot, the deck can focus on its early game setup first, and then grab whatever other pieces it needs as the game goes on. I hope you all enjoyed the video and maybe want to give Meowscarada a shot going into this format. I know for sure I will. Let me know what cards from Obsidian Flames you're looking forward to down in the comments below, and leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps grow the channel. Hope you all have a great rest of your night, and I will catch you all later.